is part of the Y Combinator batch of March 2020, and within a span of a little more than 3 years, we have a reach across 170 countries, and we have helped more than 50,000 plus people get closer to their dream jobs. So our specialization is around resumes. That is how we started. That's the genesis, and our current leadership team was part of the founding team at Zorooms, which was a $30 million hospitality firm. Now, a quick overview of what all we will be discussing in today's session. So we'll start off with a word about the role and structure of a resume, and from there we'll jump on to a step-by-step process that we have outlined that anyone can use to create a successful resume. After that, we'll talk about content and design, which are the two major aspects of any resume. And we'll jump from there to straight onwards to Hiration's platform that you would all be able to use to create your next job-winning resume. Based on all these discussions, we would then talk about what makes a good resume and what are the elements of a bad resume. So in this section, I would be taking inputs from everyone. And in the end, we'll talk about everything that you can do beyond your resume to become more job ready in today's market. And in the end, we'll open it up for Q&A. So I'll just begin right away. So I mean, I don't think I need to spend some time discussing what is a resume, why do you need a resume, because of course you guys already know that, which is why you're here. But what I want to specifically talk about here is to dispel a common notion that a resume or a properly formatted resume is not just to get you a job, because the thing is, even with your existing resume or whatever resume that you already have right now, even if you just use that, and even if you send that resume to hundreds of applications, eventually you will be shortlisted. Eventually you might get interview calls. But the thing is, we are not here for that. We are here to not just accelerate that entire process, but more importantly, the right resume ad will help you change your job at the right time as part of your overall trajectory. So that is where the role of a resume comes in. It's not just to get you a job, it's to get you the right job at the right time in your overall trajectory. So that is something that you should start considering and looking at a resume from at like a newer light, to sort of as not just a document that will get you a shortlist, but as something that will help you make the right job change. As you can see from the graph, that the right job change at the right time can drastically alter the trajectory of your career. And you already know you barely have a few seconds to make an impression before the recruiter. So in those few seconds, you really have to make sure that the right qualities are being showcased that would be relevant to the reader. So just a few common, so when I talk about the structure of a resume, a few common elements that I'll pick apart one by one. How many pages, for instance, that is again a very common question. So that will depend on where you are, your target industry, your target profile, the country where you're applying, and all of these. So you have to research all these parameters before you sort of make a call on this decision. As a broad rule of thumb, suppose if you're in India and if you're applying in mostly Indian companies, so in that regard, you can go for a two-pager resume even if you don't have a lot of experience. But at the same time, let's say if you're in the US or if you're applying for companies in the US, then there it is a cardinal rule that your resume is only one pager if you have less than if you have less than 10 years of experience. And that changes, suppose when you're applying for companies in the Mid East, there even like a three-pager resume is not a big deal. So it's a wise practice to sort of research and all these resume practices where depending on where you are applying and the companies that you're targeting before you take a call on these standard questions. After that, we have your job title and the summary, which is ideally right below your name. So the idea behind the job title is something that is mostly not there in most, and whether or not you're relevant to them or not. So the idea behind the job title, in the contact section after that, it's like in addition to your standard information, you can also include links to your LinkedIn, provided you are actually active on that platform, and provided if Can, proceed. Question.
Hi, Mr. Praneeth, you are not audible actually.
So who is speaking right now?
Yeah, now it's fine. Now it's fine. Could you like resume
No.
from?
Myself, Dr. Manas. Who is
Oh,
speaking?
sir. This is
Ayantika,
Antika,
I'm
sir.
speaking. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Ayantika.
yeah.
That means we
Yeah.
can listen, we can hear each other.
Yeah, we can. But I guess there was some problem on Mr. Praneeth's end. He has exited the chat, like the meeting. I guess he can join again.
Probably some problem from his side, I think.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, let's wait. I think he will
Yeah.
rejoin.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're audible now. I think we lost connection with you for a while there.
Okay. Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah. Now you're audible.
Yes.
Yeah, could you? Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Can you help me understand what was the last thing you heard so I can continue from there?
You had just started talking about what goes in the resume, I guess.
Okay, got it. So again, I'll just share my screen and then I can take it forward from there. Just give me a second, huh?
Yeah. Sure.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Are you able to see my screen right now?
Not yet.
Just a sec.
Pranit, are you facing any problem?
I'm just trying to share the screen. I'm guessing you can hear me right now, but you are not able to see my screen, right?
Can't see.
Yeah, just a second. Let me.
Pranit.
Hello,
Yes.
Pranit. Hi, this is Chitranjan from ICTA.
Yeah. Hi.
So, sir, can you able to see the share option over there?
I was earlier sharing the screen for some reason. I don't know. I'm not able to right now. I'm
Okay,
clicking on the share screen and selecting the PowerPoint, which is open on my system.
okay.
But once I,
S- so, sir, just click on share over there,
yeah, that is what I'm doing. But
and there is a screen one option is over there. Screen one at the top. Top.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
trying
just
both the
click.
options
Okay, just
as
click
well
on
as
that
the
screen one there.
uh,
Hello.
yeah, that is what I'm doing. But if I click on share, then nothing happens after that.
I don't know. Is it possible to make him co-host or something like that so that this problem gets solved?
Already you are the presenter. Okay, sir. So host is
No.
Ayantika.
I am
So
not. I am talking about giving this authority to Mr. Praneeth.
okay. So Ayantika is the host. So Ayantika, please just right click on the in participants, just right click on the Pranit Saxena and just
Okay.
give them the rights of host or a
Okay.
presenter.
Co-host. Better to make
Co-host,
him
Who?
co-host.
co-host, right, sir.
Is it okay now?
Can you? Okay. Can I leave the meeting and join again? Maybe just give me a second now.
Yeah, it may be.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me now? Is the screen visible?
Yeah, now it is fine.
Yeah, everything is working now.
Perfect. I'm so sorry for the disturbance. I'll just proceed now. So yeah, so broadly this is what I was earlier discussing, the structure of a resume, all these key sections. Last thing that I was saying was that depending on your trajectory, you can go ahead and include sections like certification, projects, training, etc. But as a rule of thumb, it's better if you only include these sections, provided they are in line with your target profile. But if these sections are completely unrelated to what you are targeting, then don't just use these sections to fill up space. It would be better to then focus back to your work experience section. Um, okay, I think I was cut off after job title, so I'll just resume from there. So yeah, coming to the job title and the summary. The idea behind the job title is that the recruiter should not scan your entire work experience section in order to understand whether or not you are relevant to them. So the job title, the idea is that in like just a couple of words or a single phrase, you convey your suitability before the recruiter. So for example, in the resume that you see on the screen, you have the name, and below the name, you have the title. So this title can be your official current designation as well, or you can tweak that a bit depending on the profile that you are targeting. Regarding the summary, again, a very misunderstood concept. Summary is different from an objective section in the sense that a summary allows you to showcase your qualifications in a manner so that you can convince the recruiter the impact that you can deliver in the next organization. So how that is different from an objective section is that the objective for example, tech professionals can go ahead and include links to your GitHub or your I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that. So wait, huh? So yeah, so in addition to your standard information section, you can include links to your LinkedIn or your public portfolio, or your tech professionals can include GitHub Kaggle profiles as well. And photo, again, it depends on where you are applying, what's your target country, your target sector. For example, in the US, it is strictly prohibited. I mean, your resume can straight away be discarded if there's a photo in your resume. But for instance, in the Middle East companies, it is usually a recommended practice. In India, it's a mixed bag. It's not like a rigid norm to whether to go for it or not. But a general thing to keep in mind would be that if you're including a photo, make sure that it's a professional photograph. Regarding the columns, again, it is, I see a lot of people just struggling with this question as the first thing in the entire resume writing process. But in my opinion, it's better to leave these questions in the end. And the first priority should be to focus on the content. Once you have clarity on on what all content will be there in your resume, then all the questions regarding the design, the columns, that can be taken care of later as well. And this is the ideology behind which even Hiration's resume builder is made. So even the entire process flow is designed in such a way that you focus on the content first, because that is what's going to make or break your resume. The content, then you can think about the design, the columns, and all of those questions. After that, you have your standard sections for your skills, your work ex, education, etc. Um, the skills section plays a huge role in optimizing your resume for the ATS or the applicant tracking system. These are nothing but simple tools that recruiters use to match all the resumes that they receive against the job, against the specific job listing. So we'll come to that later during the session as well. In the end, you can include miscellaneous sections for, let's say, your certifications or your projects or your training. But again, it would be better if these sections are in line with your target profile. If they are not at all related to the profiles that you are targeting, then it's better to not just use these sections to fill up space and instead focus on your actual workings. So to sort of talk about the step-by-step process that we have outlined for a job-winning resume, the first step is to create a master resume, which is again a very lesser known concept, but which I think that if you start doing, that will actually solve your entire resume problem for pretty much the rest of your professional career. So the idea behind the master resume is that it is basically for your own eyes only. No one else sees this. A master resume can be 2 pages, 5 pages, 20 pages. It does not matter. But the idea is that again, the philosophy behind this concept is that most people usually think of a resume or will consider working on their resume when they are either frustrated with their job, or either they are desperately looking for a new job. But ideally, a resume is an ongoing, it's a continuous process. So I've seen hundreds of clients who have spent years in a single company, and then for any reason, if they want to switch, in that case, if they look back and think of what all things they have done in the last 5 years or 10 years of this stint, then it's a blank. Then no one can recall anything. So in order to avoid that scenario, it's important to keep a running master resume updated, which you can update on, let's say, a monthly or a quarterly basis, which can contain very broad pointers as to the broad level contributions that you have been doing in your professional capacity. The idea is that at this stage, you just need to dump all the information that you can. At this stage, don't hold yourself back. Don't think that even though it was something that you did, but it might not be relevant to your next profile, even though it might not be relevant to your next job, but you don't know, something that you did right now might be relevant 5 years down the line. So at this stage, don't hold back, don't filter out anything. In the master resume, just write everything that you have done, because the filtering and the selection process can be done in the end as well. You can start off with your standard Vertex and qualification section. It is here that this is basically the heart of the resume that contains everything that the recruiter is basically looking for. And it is here that you can sort of outline your resume to get clarity on the different sections that would be present in your resume. Once that's done, then you are closer to your first draft. A very, again, rule of thumb to sort of new perspective is to think of yourself as a product and the job market as any other market. And your idea is to achieve product market fit. So in that regard, don't just try to think place where you are including everything that you have done without any context or without any meaning. Try to include information in the context of a specific industry or a job or a company. It is only then that this resume building exercise makes sense. Otherwise, it is just a fruitless exercise. And in the end, you can then consider different final aspects like optimizing your resume for ATS, which is where the skills and the summary sections come in. So which is where, again, a very critical thing that many people commit this mistake is to create one single resume and then use that to apply to dozens of different profiles. That is not how it works. And any recruiter worth his or her salt is able to, within a few seconds, he or she can figure out if a resume that they are seeing is a generic resume that has been used for other applications, or whether it's a resume which is tailor-made for that specific profile. So believe me, the recruiters can figure out that difference within the first few seconds. So in my opinion, don't reuse the same resume. The only thing that you need to tweak is the summary and the skill section, depending on the profiles that you're targeting. So now we'll jump to the two major aspects of any resume, which is one, content, and the second, design. Now, content basically is divided into these. So within content, we would be discussing these 5 key areas, key things that, again, many people sort of overlook. And if you're able to take care of these 5 things as far as your content is concerned, then believe me, you have automatically overshadowed 90% of the competition which is out there. So I'll pick up the first one. The first one is reverse engineering, which I briefly discussed earlier. But the idea is to not create a resume in isolation, to not just write points for the sake of it or just because you happen to do them. The idea is to only include content that is in the context of a specific job listing. So for that, you can simply go to your standard job portals. You can filter out a few 10, 20, or however many, depending on your sector. You can filter these job postings, and from that you can filter the top 5 or 10 skills that you can see are common across all those target job listings. Now that will give you a gap analysis of sorts that will help you understand what all skills are needed in the market that you already have, and more importantly, what all skills you don't have. So that will give you more clarity on exactly where you need to work upon. From that, you can then go on to create a master resume, which would then basically contain all the points. And once that is ready, then doesn't matter if it is your resume for the next job or whether it's your resume for a job, let's say 5 years down the line. If you have your master resume ready and updated, then believe me, job change or looking for a job won't be a chore anymore. The second is categorization, or what we at Hiration call bucketing. Again, so the idea behind that is to greatly enhance the overall readability of your resume. So how that happens is, so again, a very commonly accepted notion is to only go for one-liner bullet points in your resume. Please, if there are paragraphs in your resume, I would sincerely request you to do away with lengthy paragraphs and only go for bullet points. The summary is the only exception wherein you can include like a 2 to 3 sentence paragraph. But other than the summary, the rest of the entire resume should only be in bullet points. Ideally, those bullet points should begin with the power verb, so that showcases your point in the context of more of an achievement based scenario rather than a responsibility based event, which will come to that as well. And try to provide figures wherever you can. So in the context of bucketing, how that works is, even if, let's say, this is a very clear cut example that will show you the impact of bucketing. Even if, let's say, you have been working in an organization for X number of years and you ended up writing, let's say, half a dozen or 5, 10, 15 one-liner points. The thing is, even if you end up including those 10, 15 one-liner points, as a layman reader, it will still look to me like a wall of text. So how you can then increase readability for me as a recruiter is to group similar points together. Now, if you'll notice in the above image, you have the same points. In both the images, the points are the same. Nothing has been changed. The only difference is that instead of the first scenario, where even though you have written one-liner points, but it still looks like a wall of text, in the second scenario, you have simply grouped similar points together. So you have all your user and leadership points together. You have your product points together, and then in the end, you have grouped all your achievements. So if I'm a recruiter, not only have you grouped similar points together, but within each point you have also bolded the words that you want the recruiter to notice first. So if you even as a reader, you can instantly recognize how drastically the readability has gone up in both these images. The third element is focusing on achievements and not your responsibilities. Again, a very common mistake that people do is whenever they want to update their resume, they will simply take the job description of either the exact profile or related profiles, and they will directly copy paste points from their job description. Now, while the idea might make sense, but the fundamental thing which is wrong with this approach is that a job description is a responsibilities based document. The job description is prepared by the recruiter to let the applicant know that these all would be your responsibilities. But a resume is an achievement based document. A resume is how you tell the recruiter what all achievements you have done in your previous companies. So that is a huge difference between a job description and a resume. And that is something that people mostly overlook when they sort of try to simply copy paste content from related job descriptions directly into their resume. So how you can turn basic responsibilities based points into achievements is to simply include figures wherever you can. At Hiration, we tend to use a questionnaire methodology, which basically means asking yourself questions based on everything that you have done, based on the points that you write, so that you can include and extract more information. For example, if I talk about in the image that you see before you, if I talk about, let's say, the second point, so wherein, let's say, the point would have been achieved a high customer base with ARPU within 8 months. Let's say that is your original point. Now your job as your own resume writer would be to ask questions based on this point. If you are just saying, if you are using vague terms or you are using generic descriptions like I achieved a high customer base or I onboarded many budget hotels, then that is not, as a recruiter, that is not giving me any information. I don't know the scale at which you are operating. You could have acquired 100 customers, you could have acquired 10 million customers. I don't know. But as an applicant, it is your job to provide clarity to me as a, as many numbers that you provide, it helps the recruiter gauge your suitability for them. Again, a continuation of that point would be to sort of, once you are done with, let's say, the first draft or the master resume, then this, so at the end of that stage, you would have a set of common points that would be, there across all your profiles. Now, the step after that would be to ask as many questions as you can so that you can extract more. Even so, the point is not to include accurate figures. They can be ballpark figures as well, but the idea is not that the recruiter will go and check whether those numbers are true or not. The idea is just to let the recruiter know the scale at which you are operating so that the recruiter can instantly recognize whether or not you would be relevant to them. The last element in content is keywords. Again, like I mentioned, keywords play a huge role in optimizing your resume for the applicant tracking systems, which are softwares used by recruiters to rank all the resumes that they receive. So in very broadly, how an ATS works is, let's say if I'm a recruiter, if I have 10,000 resumes for a single job listing, what I will just simply do is I will process all those 10,000 resumes in the applicant tracking system, and the applicant and the ATS is where the job listing is also fed in. So what the ATS will do is, against a specific job listing, it will assign a ranking to all the 10,000 resumes that have been fed into the software. So obviously, if I'm a recruiter, if a software has given me 10,000 resumes and it has also given me a ranking of those 10,000 resumes, which means the resume ranked number one is the closest resume responding to that specific job listing. So of course, if I'm a recruiter, then I won't waste any time with the remaining resumes. I will directly start off with the resume that is there on the top, and that is how I'll proceed. So that is typically what happens when, in most cases, when I also hear people regret and complain that I applied for so and so roles and I did not even get back to me. The reason in most cases is not because the recruiter did not like your resume. It's mostly because the recruiter could not even get to your resume. So which is that is even of that is an even greater tragedy. So which is why these keywords, these skills section, they play a huge role in getting your resume to the desk of the recruiter. Very a downside to that would be to ensure that there's no keyword stuffing. That is another extreme that people resort to, that people will simply stuff their resume with keywords that would be present in the job listing. So again, if I'm a recruiter, I'll hardly take a few seconds to instantly recognize that the applicant has engaged in keyword stuffing. So please don't do that as well. Make sure there's a healthy mix of keywords and key skills in your resume. And again, a rule of thumb would be to only include those skills that you can confidently justify in your interview. If don't include any skills that have not been validated in your work experience section or that you cannot justify in an interview. Coming to the second aspect, which is the design. So design again. So once you have taken care of the content, once you broadly knows what all information is there in your resume, after that you can then address the concerns regarding design and formatting. Now, if you can notice just the from what you see on the screen, you don't even need to go through the content. You can instantly recognize if I'm a recruiter again, and if I see these four resumes, automatically my attention will be drawn to the resumes on the right as opposed to the resumes on the left. Even though the applicants on the left might be more qualified or more relevant, but even if you have a lot of meaningful content, but if the design is not supporting that, if the design is not enhancing the readability of your resume, then you have not done your job completely. So design, the part of the design is to not go for very chaotic colors or random colors. That is not the idea of a good design. The design only plays a role in increasing the overall readability of your resume, so that the content that you want to actually showcase, that is able to stand out, and not whatever the recruiter randomly ends up seeing. Again, so this is how you can broadly see whatever things that I have discussed till now. This is how they can typically, this is how it actually shows on like a final resume. On the left, you can see that there are mostly the points have just been, they have not used power verbs, they have not bolded or highlighted anything. But on the right, you can see that the similar points have been grouped together. You have only used one-liner bullet points. The alignment is perfect. You have highlighted keywords. So automatically, as a recruiter, my attention will be diverted to the words that are highlighted and not whatever randomly my eyes will catch. So this is how instantly you can see how following these basic practices end up greatly enhancing the readability and the overall impact of your resume. Now, also, this was broadly what these content and design aspect was. Now, I don't know how many of you have had a chance to work on to check out Hiration's platform, but I'll assume that I'll just start from the beginning and I'll just give you a quick overview of how you can use this platform to sort of make your next resume. So I'll just try to. I think I'll just share the screen. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So yeah. So the step is simply to once. So this is the domain on your IIPS domain only. So we have hosted our entire career services platform on your domain. So all you have to do is simply go on this domain and log in using your email address. So I'll just quickly show how you can do it. So let's say you go to IIPS. I think I have the resume builder open here as well. Just a second. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's say, so this is, I'll just go to the dashboard. So once you go to the link that will be shared by your career services team, which is iips.hiration.com, so you can simply sign up or log in using your email address. Once you do, so this would be your dashboard on the opening screen. So if you have signed up for the first time, then this would be empty. My resumes will show a zero figure, and the my dashboard resumes would be empty. There are basically three steps that you can sort of. There are three ways in which you can proceed with a resume. You can either use a pre-written sample. So depending on the courses that are offered by IIPS, Hiration has developed a few course specific resume templates. So you can simply you can simply start off by accessing those ready to edit templates and then go from there. If you don't want ready-made content templates, you can simply start off with a blank template, or you can upload your existing resume. So I'll just quickly show you, just to sort of give you like an actual demo. So this would be your this would be the domain that would be shared by your career services team, and so let's say this is yeah. So once you sign up, like you see, your resume builder, the dashboard will get open, and this would be your dashboard. So this would be the first thing that you will see once you log in. You can either start off with a pre-written sample. So like I mentioned, we have made like a few templates depending on the courses that are offered by IPS. So as a first step, if you click on on like an existing resume sample, the first step would be to choose a design. So now again, my recommendation would be to not to basically go for any design right now, because design you can change later as well at any point without disturbing the content. So don't get stuck by the design at this stage. Let's say I have chosen this design. So within that, you can see two content templates. One is for the post of data analyst and one is for assistant professor. Now if you want, you can sort of start off with this template, and then so everything that you see before you can be edited. So there would be a welcome tour that would sort of quickly walk you through all the features that are available on the portal. I'm closing this for now, but you can give this a shot when you first sign in. But basically everything that you see before you on this field can be edited. So that includes not just the everything, all the content, the name, um, or the profile. You can either be a data analyst or a data, whatever target profile or existing profile that you have. and everything, the contents of the summary, the contact information section, you can go ahead and include different fields for your LinkedIn or personal website or your GitHub, Instagram, Behance, whatever that you want to showcase. And these the content in this template, that will give you clarity on how your final resume should look like. So you can simply edit or tweak whatever you want. You can delete points, you can include more points, you can bold whatever you want or highlight, you can add different sections as well. So this is broadly what would be available to you once you log in. Now, you have these standard features like that you see before you, but the actual features that really stand out are these three, which are your AI assistant, AI review, and JD matcher. So I'll just again give you a quick overview of how you can use these features. So let's say this is your AI assistant and the profile is that of a data analyst. So based on the thousands and thousands of resumes that we have got a chance to work on, and that we have taken the learnings from those resumes and all the resumes that we have rewritten and reviewed. And that is all imported in the AI engine that is the foundation of this resume builder. So how you can benefit from that is, for example, you are a data analyst and you want to write a few professional points around your profile. If the AI assistant is on, all you have to do is simply write the first few words. So for example, if you're a data analyst, let's say I made reports. So you can say I prepared reports, and all you have to do is just write the first word or the first few words, and automatically, depending on the profile, which is that of a data analyst, you can simply press the right arrow key to accept the next recommendation. So you can just simply so you can either choose to accept or reject the recommendation, but doing so will give you much clarity on how how you can sort of go ahead and frame these points. Now, to better ensure the accuracy of the data that goes on here, it would be better if you are able to sort of the recommendations become more accurate depending on the content that you input. So, for example, if you say the next point is analyzed.
Praneeth, just 1 minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Arun Singh, can you mute yourself? Arun Singh, please mute yourself. Arun Singh, are you here? Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So,
Praneeth,
yeah, so basically the recommendations based on this AI assistant, they will become better and more accurate, provided you also keep on giving inputs on the resume builder. So for example, all you have to do is just write the first few words. Let's say you just write analyze data, and then instantly you see the recommendation is from the. So either you can press the right arrow key to accept the entire recommendation, or you can press the tab key as well. So you see, so instantly you just accept from the, and you see on the screen National Crime Information Center. Now all these recommendations, obviously they are up to you to accept or reject, but that will instantly so you see, all you have to do is just accept the recommendations, and automatically the recommendations get better and better. And patterns in the criminal justice system. Now, all these information, all these recommendations of criminal justice system and NCIC. So all of these they are rooted in the resumes and the content that is already fed into the AI engine. Obviously, since it is your resume, so it is up to you to accept or reject those recommendations. This was the first feature, which is AI assistant. The another groundbreaking feature is that of an AI review. So if I turn this off and if I turn on the AI review, so automatically the moment you click on AI review, within a few seconds, you get a score of your entire resume. So what we have done is, within a few seconds, this AI review will instantly scan your entire resume. That includes all the sections and each and every bullet point that you see within the workx section. And at each section level, you'll have the AI review will give you actual feedback that you will be able to sort of incorporate. So for example, you see resume level, this is the feedback that, okay, your resume is between 1 to 2 pages. You have the skills section, the workx section, and the experience section. And same with the skills level analysis, you see that, so this is where you can see that your there are few skills that are missing, like so if the resume is that of a data analyst, then based on the AI review is recommending that these are a few skills that you can consider including in your resume. So the idea is not for you to just see these skills and blindly incorporate that. Only include these skills if you have actually worked on these skills, if these skills are showcased in your work ex section, or if you can actually justify these skills in an interview. So similarly, it shows you the skills that are missing. It shows you other recommendations for skills that you can simply include, and it will show you also the skills that are fortunately there in your resume. So and another good thing is that, let's say this one so whatever feedback that you give, the feedback is highly actionable. So let's say you say the feedback here is, looks like you haven't quantified your bullet, or the feedback is you have used analyzed multiple times. So not only will it tell you what word you have overused, it will also give you recommendations on what all you can use in addition to the word analyzed. Similarly, it says, look like you have not highlighted anything in the bullet. So all the feedback that you see before you, that is highly specific and highly actionable. There's no room for confusion or doubts. It's a simple, straightforward review process that exactly tells you what you need to do in order to increase your Hiration resume score. So this was a quick overview of the AI review. The third and the last game-changing feature that we have on our resume builder is that of a job matcher. So I'll just quickly show you how that works as well. For this, I have a resume in my account. How this works is, I go back to the initial point that I raised earlier, that please don't commit the mistake of sending the same resume everywhere. It helps a lot if you actually check out the specific job listing and see where all you can customize and tweak your resume depending on the specific profile that you are targeting. Now, this entire exercise is a seamless one with the job match feature present on our portal. So what you have to do is simply, suppose this is your resume, and I have also saved this is a sample job description. So let's say most job descriptions would be along these lines, that you have your about the job, you have your basic responsibilities, and you have your requirements. Only thing that you have to do is, so you don't have to copy about the job, which broadly tells you about the company and the overall view. Of concern is your responsibilities section and the requirements. So all you have to do is simply copy this entire section or whatever is the relevant section in the job listing that you are targeting, and simply paste this entire section here and click on analyze. So what it will do is, it will instantly match your resume on the right against the job description that you have pasted on the left, and it will give you the score, a matching score of the same. So now the idea is that instantly you can then see that your resume is not in line with the job description that you have pasted, but along with that information, you can also see exactly the steps that you can follow to increase your score. So for example, you see that in the job description, they have asked for experience with Jira. So the job matcher will tell you that Jira as a skill is missing in your resume. All you have to do is simply include Jira in your skills section, and automatically you will be able to see that your resume score goes up. To give you an idea, if you write Jira, provided you can justify that in the workplace section below, instantly you will see that the job matcher sees that you have gone ahead and included that skill, and instantly your score goes up. So you can so that entire exercise of customizing your resume against the job description, that becomes a seamless experience on Harition's resume builder. So these are the three groundbreaking features of our product that you will find infinitely helpful in order to not make generic resumes, but job winning resumes that are geared towards specific job listings. Now I'll come back to the session. So now I have shown you everything. Now I have shown you how you can go ahead and make your resume on Hiration's platform. We have discussed the best practices of a resume, what's the structure of a resume, the very nuanced practices that you can follow to overshadow the competition and get ahead of the rest. So I would just sort of ask you to collate and combine everything that you have learned and just sort of apply that on the resume that you see before you. Now, the resume that you see before you, based on everything that you have learned till now, I'm sure you can come to the conclusion that this is not the most effective resume that one can make. Now, what I would now expect from every one of you is you can simply go to the chat column that you see on your screen. And just so I know that it is a bad resume, but what I want to actually understand is why is it that you think this is a bad resume? So just look at the resume that you see before you and just tell me what is it that is lacking in this resume, what is it something. So for that exercise, just try to sort of picture yourself as a recruiter. Just imagine that you are a recruiter who is processing this resume and you need to understand whether or not you need to shortlist this person. So just take a minute. I'll stop for a while now. Just take a minute if you want. Just broadly check out the resume that you see before you, and in the chat section, just give me quick pointers as to why do you think this resume is not up to the mark. I'll be waiting on the. Okay, so it is. Someone said it is not appealing. Can you be more specific? Maybe can you tell me exactly what is it about? Is there any specific section? Is it like an overall design or a format problem? But what exactly is it about this resume that you find to be not appealing? Anything else that comes to your mind? Seems unexperienced. Okay, so unexperienced, it is not designed in a way that should look attractive. Okay, so design is something. Skill section, yes, exactly. The skill section is not there. Person profile should come in the beginning, summary should come in the end. Single line bullets missing, yes, that's a great point. Actually, personal profile section ideally is not needed in a most resumes. So for example, this section that you see in the end with, again, you already have your name on the top. So there is no point in repeating the personal profile section at the end as well. So only then including the name at the top just once will suffice. You don't have to create another personal profile section that will again include the same information along with your father's name, your date of birth, etc. All this information is not needed in a resume. Someone said that the skills section is missing. That's a great point. The skills section is extremely crucial when it comes to optimizing your resume for the recruiter and the ATS as well. Exactly, bolding, that's a great point. The entire resume, not a single word has been bolded. So if I'm a recruiter, then there is no way to tell what is the first thing that I will see. I can maybe read your education section first, or I can check out your work experience first. But ideally, that should not be the case. Ideally, you should do whatever you can to direct the attention of the recruiter to where you want, rather than what the recruiter can randomly check it out. Great point. Power verbs, that's a great point. Power verbs might seem insignificant, but they really end up improving the impact and the overall impact of your resume. They instantly transform your profile from a simple resume, from a simple responsibilities based profile to that of an achievement based profile. So obviously, as a recruiter, if I see that all the points begin with worked with, managed, worked with, so obviously I won't have any reason to check out the rest of the content. But if you have used power verbs, that actually aligns and realigns your entire profile. Alignment, yes, that's another great point. Alignment, the bullets have not been aligned. There's an overall issue with the design and the format as well. Anything else that comes to your mind? I get that the overall design and the format is not ideal, but if I talk about the content, is there anything that you see in the content that you feel that you can do differently, or had it been your resume, you feel that you would do differently? No numbers. Yes, great. There are no numbers in the entire resume. So the fact is, as far as numbers are concerned, it's not important to just blindly include numbers wherever or whenever. Only include numbers if you think it will sort of elevate the impact of the entire resume point or the resume. but don't include numbers just for the sake of it. Someone said photograph. Again, photograph is not something that will sort of that would be like a qualitative aspect of evaluating the resume. It can depend on depending on the country. For example, if this person is targeting the US, then it's actually a good thing that there is no photograph in your resume, and the photograph actually just ends up as a distraction. So as a general rule of thumb, you can refrain from including photographs in your resume. Presentation of the academic qualification. Yes, that's another point. Usually the rest of the resume is in bullet points, but there is just one section which is in tabular format. So that doesn't make sense. There should be overall consistency in your resume. All the sections should be structured in a similar way. Another point is that the resume has included both objective section and the summary section. So obviously you don't need both these sections. If the objective section is on the top, that is eating up some valuable real estate that could have been used for something more relevant. You don't need to use both objective and summary. If you remember the initial discussion, it's always a good idea to stick with the summary section and avoid the objective section. Another thing that is missing here is the bucketing, which I again earlier discussed. That instead of just writing down one-liner points, you can simply categorize similar points together. So that will again go a long way in increasing the readability of your resume. So these are broadly what constitutes like a bad resume. So now once we have established that, now let's come to the other end of that spectrum. Now this is what broadly a typical resume can look like, which will, if your resume is broadly along these lines, then automatically your resume is better than 90% of the applicants out there. Now, everything that we discussed in the previous slide, that your inputs regarding what made that resume a bad resume, you will see that all those concerns have been addressed in this resume. So all your concerns around the format and the design, you can see that the format is impeccable. All the bullets, all the alignment, that's taken care of. The design and the format is just right for enhanced readability. The skills section is there that will go like a long way in optimizing your resume for both the recruiter and the software. And you can see that the entire resume is in one-liner bullet points. You can see that similar points have been grouped together. So instantly, suppose if I'm a digital marketer recruiter, I can instantly see that in the Vertex section, all the points have been grouped, all the SEO points have been grouped together, all the search engine, all the social media points have been grouped together, the content marketing. So I don't have to scan the entire resume to see what is relevant. If as a recruiter, for me, SEO is more relevant than social media, then out of the 20 points that I see on the screen, I'll only focus on the 5 points that are of actually relevant to me. Otherwise, so basically, just try to picture yourself in the recruiter's shoes and try to take whatever steps you can to make their job easier, to make the evaluation of your profile easier. You can see that numbers and quantitative data has been used. You can see that the relevant keywords have been highlighted and bolded to direct the attention of the recruiter to where you want. Now, a few things beyond your resume that you can take care of. I know that the job market took an unprecedented turn right after the lockdown started, and most people, they spend the initial months trying to figure out what all they can do to sort of get out of that slump. Now, understand that you are not alone in that entire process. It might feel that everyone is stuck at home. It might feel that all the bad things are happening to you. But just remember that we are in it together, and remember that you are not alone in whatever it is that you are facing. Another thing that you can do to sort of beef up your suitability before the recruiter is to go for as many additional skills or courses that you can to sort of increase the suitability before the recruiter. So in the earlier discussion, when we were talking about analyzing job postings from multiple job portals and then filtering the top skills that are needed, So you can then use that information to identify the skills that you don't have, but that are needed in the job market. And consequently, you can go for courses and training programs to sort of target those individual skills. Another thing is LinkedIn, which is a hugely untapped platform. LinkedIn is the world's largest platform for professionals. And if you are not on LinkedIn, you are only delaying the inevitable. Eventually, you will have to be on LinkedIn. If not now, then maybe next year or 5 years down the line. But if you are a professional, if you want to go down, if you want to sort of go down the professional trajectory as someone who is able to maximize their potential, then there is no way but to capitalize on this platform. So this is how you would be able to sort of network. This is how you would be able to sort of establish your thought leadership. um, and additionally, even on Hiration's platform, you have a LinkedIn review product as well that you see here. So once you will log in on the Hiration's platform on IIPS, there is a separate module for LinkedIn review as well. Unfortunately, we don't have time to actually go through to give a walkthrough of that entire feature, but it is quite intuitive, and all you have to do is simply upload the PDF of your LinkedIn profile. You can download the PDF directly on the profile page and just upload the PDF, and instantly you can get a real-time review of your LinkedIn profile as well. So you can use this platform to sort of improve your LinkedIn profile, and then use that platform to network with similar professionals, network with recruiters, to reach out to people who are thought leaders in your sector or industry. That will actually help you understand what else is going on in your chosen domain, and what all gaps are still missing in your profile that you can effectively target. And in addition to that, again, try to be as proactive as possible. Try to identify certifications, courses, workshops. Go for freelancing or consulting. If you can't identify anything where you can add value, then in my experience, volunteering is the best thing that you can do. And honestly, the world will never be short of volunteers. So if you go down that road, then you can instantly see that even though it might feel that you are not able to provide value, but you will be able to understand your contributions in the right context. So in my opinion, volunteering is the best thing that you can do if you are not able to figure out anything else. And lastly, writing is again something that was again has been like an in-demand skill always, but even more so after the lockdown, that has become like a very paramount skill to have. Because see, the thing is, for any standard job ad that you see, for let's say a data analyst or business analyst or professor, whatever, for any standard job ad, there would be thousands and thousands of applicants. Once you if I take like a snapshot view of all these thousands of applicants, as far as the technical expertise is concerned, there won't be much difference between those 1,000 applicants. If all the 1,000 applicants are applying for that data analyst role, on a technical level, more or less there would be like a 19-20 difference, but more or less the technical expertise would be at a similar plane. But how you end up as a professional, so companies are not just looking for people who can sort of people with just technical expertise, or people who can just join and do the job and then go home. Companies are looking for people, for employees who will in turn become brand ambassadors of the company. So if you are able to, if you, for example, if you don't know what else to do, just simply start a blog or use LinkedIn, or just try to write whatever your opinions or your views are regarding, could be your industry, could be your profile, or could be something completely unrelated as well. Idea is to sort of establish your thought leadership before the readers and the recruiters, and that will not only do that, but in the long term, that will go like a long way in sort of establishing your credibility as a working profession. Now I think this brings us to the end of this session. Now I think the Q&A is now what's left. So I'm guessing that I was able to sort of address commonly, occurring issues that you may be facing regarding your resume. Still, if there is anything that you feel that I have not properly addressed, or if you feel that there are still any pending issues or concerns, feel free to drop your questions on the chat box and I can take that up right away. Okay. So I have a question from Varsha. So she's asking if, yeah, so basically, she's asking if people who have worked in IIPS itself for 2-3 years and they have worked on different projects on different designations, and then when they try to move out and join another organization, how they can sort of include that. So see, the thing is, and again, the next question is that what is most important in a fresher's resume. So I think both these questions I can club them together to see, the thing is, even if let's say you have worked for 2-3 years in, maybe that might not have been in a professional capacity. So even if you have worked on projects or even if you have worked on different designations, you can go ahead and include that in the resume as well. So you can create different sections for projects. You can include the different designations that you were armed with. For each designation, you can then include relevant points. Now, this would basically be in a multi-stage process. In stage one, ideally just try to see, the thing is, because at this stage you would be open to different roles. At this stage, it's not, I'm guessing it won't be that you have identified one profile and you would only be applying to that specific profile. Since you would be open to multiple roles at this stage when you are working on your master resume, it's important to sort of not think of any specific job or not think of any specific company, and just simply dump whatever you have worked on in the last 2-3 years. So these could be random projects, these could be some special projects that you have undertaken. These projects might or might not be in line with the profile that you're targeting, but when it comes to working on your master resume, that is not something that you should be considering. So at this stage in the master resume, just include whatever you can. And once you have identified the specific job listing that you are targeting, then go back to your master resume and then try to think what all contributions you can simply pick as it is, and what all contributions you can tweak slightly depending on the requirements of the job. Similarly, in a fresher's resume, if most companies, let's say, are advertising that they're looking for freshers or that freshers are acceptable, so obviously they are not expecting years of work experience in a fresher resume. So even the recruiters would know that even if you are a fresher, they are not expecting actual concrete professional experience. But at the same time, what they're expecting is an X factor that would be dependent on you. So now how you can showcase that is to, maybe even if let's say you have not worked anywhere, but there might be instances wherein across your college there would be extracurricular activities, there would be co-curricular activities. You might have participated in different events or fests. You might have participated in relevant competitions or case studies. You might have represented your college, or even you can go back and see. That is again one thing. If again, coming back to the previous slide, which is why volunteering is something that is a huge game changer, and even more so in the US, is because it is something that literally anyone can do. I mean, as the name suggests, it is volunteering. But again, even despite that, I won't see volunteering in 90% of the resumes out there. But honestly, there is literally nothing stopping you from going out and reaching out to any nonprofit or any cause of your passion or your interest, and just volunteering whatever time you can spare in a week or a month. Even though literally anyone can do it, but actually no one does. So if I'm a recruiter, if I see a fresher resume with, and obviously I would be expecting that there won't be relevant work experience. But if I see that the applicant has been participating in different competitions, he or she has different interests, could be co-curricular or extracurricular, and more importantly, he or she has a volunteering section as well. That tells a lot about the applicant, more than you think. That actually tells the recruiter that you are willing to go beyond what most people do. You are willing to go beyond your immediate surroundings and your own self to actually think about issues at the community level. Now, those are skills that cannot be taught in a certification program. Those are skills that can be showcased effectively. So in that case, you won't even have to write that. Just the fact that you are saying on the resume that you have a volunteering section or so the cause can be anything. The cause can be whatever that is close to you. The cause might not be related to the target profile. That is not relevant. What's relevant is to tell the recruiter that you actually went out of your way to think of societal broader issues. Now that speaks a lot than, let's say, 5 projects ever will. Freelancing, how most of the time they would not be experience certificate. Yeah. So see, the thing is, in most cases, even if let's say you have been freelancing, just the fact that you don't have an experience certificate, that should not stop you from going ahead and including that in a resume. So now, see, the thing is, most people preemptively refrain from including things just because they think that the recruiter will check each and everything that is there on a resume. If you have been through the recruitment process, you would know that the background verification step that comes in the absolute end. What you are thinking of is you are thinking of 5 steps down the line. In that, in that process, you are jeopardizing the first step. The first step is that of resume. You will be shortlisted based on that resume. So at this stage, if you think that the freelancing or consulting experience that you have done is relevant to the target profile, don't think of 5 steps down the line. Don't think of what will happen if there is no experience certificate later on. But at this stage, if it is work that you have legitimately done, even if you don't have an experience certificate, you would be able to legitimately justify it to the recruiter that you actually worked on that project. There would be evidence of client communication, project, other communication. So in that case, you won't need like a legal certificate or anything. It's not like without that, the recruiter won't be convinced or anyone won't be convinced. So don't, as a broad rule of thumb, don't think of 5 steps down the line. Let's take care of the first step first. So if you have done freelancing consulting, that can include not just freelancing, but that can include consulting, that can include academic projects as well. Most people don't include academic projects. But for example, if you're a fresher and if you have worked on academic projects, then you can go ahead and include that as well. Because as a recruiter, I know that I have invited fresher applications as well. And it would be delusional to expect years of work experience in a fresher's resume. So don't try to compare a fresher resume. If you are a fresher, don't compare your profile with that of someone who has an experience of 5 years. So there's no point in doing that. If you're a fresher, so obviously as a recruiter, I'm not expecting anything else. But what I'm expecting is some sort of a go-getting attitude that you can showcase in a myriad of ways. So that can include volunteering, that can include extracurricular, co-curricular activities, that can include achievements from school as well. Assuming you're running out of options to write, or that can include academic projects, that can include initiatives or clubs in colleges. Basically, this will actually go like a long way in telling the recruiter that you have, dabbled in different domains and you are not just, like sticking to one single field. I think I hope I was able to sort of adequately respond to these questions. Is there any other question or any XYZ concern that I can help anyone with? Any other FAQs? Any other questions? Prajita, I'm guessing I have not missed any question, right? Can we just cross check to see that all the questions have been addressed?
I guess so.
Yeah, Antika, I think that
Yeah.
it is a wonderful lecture, and many of the points
Yeah.
that you have stated today is quite important. And I always encourage my students to do something which is beyond studies, because it matters a lot.
Exactly.
While giving the reference letter in the past 20 years, I have experienced it very clearly that any good university, especially abroad, will look at your resume if you are having some extracurricular activities.
Exactly, that plays a huge role. Exactly.
And anyways, so I think this is just the beginning. They can make use of this platform, and subsequently, if they are having questions, we will connect with you with all those questions.
Actually, on the platform, you have the chat support as well. So let's say whenever anyone uses the platform, or whenever they're stuck, if there's any issue with the platform, or if there's anything that you're not able to find or do, you can simply avail the chat support that is available on the platform, and our chat support team will get to that concern right away. So you can explore that option as well.
Okay, fine. Otherwise, I'm in touch with Shobhik and Yash and you as well.
Yes.
So if we face any difficulty, we will get back to you. And this platform for the students, I'm telling you, this is for 1 year. So make use of this, and depending on your feedback and utility of this platform, we will decide its future course. So please spread the knowledge to the students to make use of this, because this is the first time we have got the access to this kind of things. And I think with changing time, our young scholars, students can make use of this artificial intelligence.
Exactly, ma'am. Yes, that is the idea. Yes, exactly. So I will also be awaiting any feedback later on from your team regarding this session or regarding the product or the platform. Any feedback that you are able to provide, that will help us a lot down the line. So we are welcoming of that as well.
Yeah, ma'am, like I would just like to add, like we had already checked out this Hiration when we spoke last time in November, I guess. Oh, and we actually were pretty impressed with whatever was available back then, and now that we have gotten it for a year, I think it will be really helpful for everyone. Thank you so much for today's session too, and
I'm
this
glad.
this actually hands-on practice, like whatever you have shown us today, like logging in IIPS.hiration.com, that was actually pretty useful. I have used it like previously, and I really found it pretty user-friendly, and the AI and all is actually pretty. Yeah. Thank you so much for the session today. It was really.
I'm happy to
and Manas is around?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, fine. So I think one request to the placement cell students, that please circulate the message again to every student. I couldn't find many PhD students here. So
yeah, there aren't many. It's just a
so
few of
please,
us.
once again, with all features and other things, write a good mail and send it to them, and send it to the Google group, not the batch-wise circulation. I think you have a single Google group for students.
Yeah, for all of
put
us.
that mail. Put that mail there. So by Monday, if you can circulate, they can make use of, because this is absolutely your thing. And
very useful,
yeah. Okay. So Manas, if you want to add something.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will agree with what Professor Aparajita just now told regarding today's lecture and its utility. I means before this lecture also, I was quite convinced in our earlier interaction with years about the utility of this platform. And yeah, means time and again, I'll say that it is really useful for our students. And you could also address some of their queries on this platform. I'm sure most of them are going to use it and will be getting benefited out of this platform. So yeah, looking forward to this collaboration, and I'm sure again it will be very useful for all of us. So
yes, sir,
thank you, Pranit, for this excellent lecture.
Happy to help, sir. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Any feedback that you have, I would love to work on that. In regarding the session, regarding the product or the platform, please feel free to share any feedback that you guys might have, or any of the participants might have.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time.
Thank you all. So we end the session. Thanks.
Okay, I'm closing this meeting then. Thank you all. Thank you again. Bye.